Let's make some noise. Come on.
Right, indeedy, Nick Foles. Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles. Let's make some noise. Welcome back, everybody, to the first broadcast episode of our new week here on the Final Word with MattyB here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network with your boy MattyB coming at you on this live and snowy Sunday night around the Northeast. It's not even the Delaware Valley. No, if you're living in the Northeast, what's it like 40 states that are getting walloped right now by this snowstorm? It's been snowing steadily all day, and it doesn't seem to be stopping where I'm at. So shoveled 3 times in order to kind of stay ahead of it. Little battle damage assessment type stuff, right? I hope wherever it is you are this Sunday night, you're warm, you're dry, and the snow has not pretty much like encased you in. Now, the one positive about a snowstorm like this, and I can't believe I'm actually going to go here with it, it's the kind of snow it is. It's a very grainy, like a sandy snow. It's not wet and heavy. It's very easy shovelable snow. So those of you out there that are going about it the old-fashioned way with a shovel, it's not that bad if you were smart. Now, if you're going to wait until it's over with and then actually shovel for the first time, that's not a good idea because it's going to be a lot of it. Sandy snow or not, it's still going to be a lot of it. Those of you with snowblowers, this is easy snow for a snowblower to go through. But I guess if you got to take small rewards out of this, it's not that heavy or thick of a snow. But anyway, enough of the weather. Welcome back to the program tonight here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. We got a good show tonight. What's going on, Adam? Happy to see you again. Fresh off my guest spot this morning on the AM Sports Show, Philly Sports Show. I don't even know the name of it. We had a couple guests. Jack Fritz, I want to thank again from 94 WIP stopping by, as he has a tendency to do from time to time with the network, and giving his insight of the Phillies, and our guy from Pittsburgh, John Phillips, also stopping by, talking some Kevin McCarthy, future of the Pittsburgh Steelers type stuff. Big day in the NFL. Good one going on as we speak out in Seattle. A gunslinging match between the Seahawks and the Rams. Was it 27-31 right now? And they're not even through the third quarter. It's one of them games happening out there. And a game that, once again, as I look at this thing kind of unfolding in the NFC, does Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles in 2025 stand a chance against either of these teams in the championship game? I kind of took that view this year in baseball after the Phillies got eliminated. I was like, okay, well, let's watch the quality of baseball that we're going to get the rest of the way in the postseason. When I was watching the World Series between the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, I was like, there ain't no way in hell the Phillies could have been competitive against these two teams. And I feel that way tonight as we're watching two quarterbacks. Can't believe Sam Darnold is in this conversation, just sort of lighting it up. It's a gunslinger's battle. And I don't think the Eagles would have had the offensive KO or punch to even keep up with the Rams or the Seahawks in this game. Now, the earlier game played in a snowy Denver between the Patriots and the Broncos. That's a game. That's an Eagles game right there. 10-7. Stidham did not, I say again, did not channel his inner Nick Foles today. Now, the snow probably definitely affected that football game on all aspects. The run game, the pass game, and special teams were just completely averted by the snow. But I love that. That is the way football should be played. For all you dome people, advocates out there, you soft, frilly things that want to convert all of football inside of a dome, you probably never played football in the snow before. It's the greatest thing in the world. It makes you feel alive. And two, to be present like in the stadium in a game like that is an experience in itself. So kudos to the NFL, kudos to the Denver Broncos and the New England Patriots. By the way, the Patriots were wearing white as well to go along with the snowy conditions. So that was probably fun, as they were out there. But Drake May heading to the Super Bowl. Patriots heading back to the Super Bowl as they will represent the AFC against either whatever this thing ends up being, this epic passing battle between the Rams and Seahawks. So we'll get into some football. We can also talk a little bit more about the Eagles, like we are not the Eagles. Yeah, the Eagles, of course. The hunt for an OC continues. We really unearthed some ground this morning. I left nothing back. I laid it all out there. I was MattyB vintage this morning. For those of you that missed it, I suggest you go back and look in on the replay. It was an epic show. It was fun. I had a great time. Did 2.5 hours trying to fill up some of the snow day that we had. So I enjoyed it. I want to thank Al for letting me come on, as well as the guests for coming on. It was a really good show. I enjoyed it. We got 10 inches, been out a bunch of times. 10 inches. I wish it was only 10 inches where I'm at, man. Whew, it's still snowing. I guarantee you we're above. We're closing in on 2 feet at this point. I would have, I've always meant to be one of those guys that puts the ruler down. I never do it. I always forget. But we're working on 2 feet where I'm at. Hey, Joe, hell is up. And Patriots and Broncos was crazy. It was, Adam. It was the way football should be played. And again, if you're looking at the perfect game to put the Eagles in today, it would have been that one. The game tonight, Eagles would have gotten laughed off the field by either one of these two teams, because it's been an offensive showcase in this game tonight. So, but yeah, it was a good game earlier between the Patriots and the Broncos. Joe Hale got 2 feet. Yeah, in Jersey. Really? 2 feet in New Jersey. Yeah, it's one of them storms, man. It was a bad one, and it's still going on. Everything in the area tomorrow has already been closed. Schools, the roads are, I was out in the roads about an hour ago picking up my stepdaughter from work. They're passable if you have the right vehicle. 4-wheel drive is probably a must. Side roads are terrible, as they typically are, but the main roads were passable. Again, I'm not advocating anybody going out in it if you don't have to, but everything is closed tomorrow as a precautionary tale. So that's good, as we all get another day off. So anyway, so tonight, it's back all on the board, man. Eagles, as the hunt for an OC continues. Talk some NFC, AFC championship games. The Phillies, again, I'm going to get back into the hot stove. I've fallen way behind on that. A lot of moves that have become official. We'll just talk about in general, maybe pause on a few of them that are notable. I'm going to introduce a new segment tonight, kind of following along with the Eagles offseason plan, right? With last week, we broke down the draft class of 2023, assessed our final grades. Well, starting tonight, we will attack the position groups, and we will go the top stories of that position group for the year 2025. And we're going to start with the offensive line, one of the lightning rod position groups of 2025, and what went wrong there. Why couldn't they have produced as they produced in 2024? What was the difference between 2025 and 2024, especially in the run game? Where was the fall off a cliff moment for that offensive line? And with Jeff Stoutland's name sort of already in the news about allegedly people not wanting to come here because they can't bring their entire staffs with them, to include a new potential offensive line coach and run game coordinator. We'll discuss some of Jeff Stoutland's recent work. Not impressive at all. So tonight we continue the offseason with our top storylines by position group of 2025. And we're going to lead it off with the offensive line. We'll get into our card of the night, our Philadelphia Day in Sports History. I said that all backwards. And of course, our of the night segment, which we got a 2 for tonight. Breaking down a Phillies spotlight player and also a NHL draft target. So all of that and more here on the program, as we will open the phone lines a little bit. Yes, they will, Joe. I read your mind. The Patriots offense are frauds. Only come on now. Yeah, listen, before the weather turned bad, Drake May was not producing optimally. I agree. But the Broncos defense had a lot to do with that. It was a great game out there. And, before the weather got bad is a loaded, the game is a game of adjustments. The game is a game of making, adjustments. And obviously the adjustments that the Patriots were going to make didn't matter because of the weather. So this, you throw out all the stats for these types of games, at this phase of the season. It's not necessarily how they got it done. It's the fact that they got it done. And I even subscribe to that way of thought. We're not going to sit here and I wouldn't at least criticize Jalen Hurts or the Eagles if they won the NFC Championship game 10-7. The bottom line is they won it and they move on. We can criticize regular season games all day long. That's a different thing. But in the playoffs, it's a war of attrition. I still believe heading into the Super Bowl, it's going to be a good one, regardless if it's the Patriots and the Rams or Patriots and the Seahawks. It's going to be an offensive game. A lot of scoring is going to be done in this game, and it's going to be fun to watch. So we got a good Super Bowl on tap in Super Bowl 60. So, all right, let's get started with our first segment that is every night, and that's your day in Philadelphia sports history. But before I do that, let's remind you that this is your schedule for the week here on the network. Tomorrow, the Philly Sports Tonight program. Me and the I'm doing two for tomorrow. That's it. I got Islanders Flyers post game as well, so we'll probably blend the final word into a post game show as we typically do when that happens to me. Then on Tuesday night, it's the Pittsburgh Sports Tonight and me. On Wednesday night, as you can see, there is no locks, props, and parlays this Tuesday. They're taking the week off. They will return probably for their final episode the week before the Super Bowl. Wednesday night, another Pittsburgh Sports Tonight, along with the Pittsburgh Sports Desk, me and the Flyers Blue Jackets postgame. So it's a Pittsburgh Wednesday here on the network as the Pittsburgh Sports Tonight program now expanding out to 3 nights. I think they're going to want to go to 4 after the Super Bowl. Mike Lara will have you for that Blue Jackets postgame on Friday, Thursday, Gridiron Weekly, me, and then Mike Lara with Clear the Ice, the Bruins. Philly Friday Frenzy on Friday. The best of the week of the It's a Wrap Sports on Saturday, and post-game Flyers Kings. And then we do it all over again on Sunday. So there's your week in the glance as we're about to hit February, folks. February, that's what that means. 1 month closer to the start of the baseball season. So there you go. All right, let's do our night Philadelphia sports history. Let's strap in, strap on, strap up. Keep your head, hands, and feet inside the car at all times. And here we go. On this day back in 1981, sort of kind of capping off an amazing, November, December, January, 3 months in Philly sports. Started in October of 80 with the Phillies winning the World Series, and it ended on this night back in 81, not on the happiest of terms. Because on this night, the Philadelphia Eagles fell in Super Bowl 15, 27-10 to the Oakland Raiders, failing to cap off an amazing 1980 season. And an amazing, and as I said, 3 months in Philly sports. It was, again, I was 7 years old, and I've told you the story about how essentially I became an Eagle fan as a result of what happened in the championship game against Dallas at 7 years old. I was 7, right? It's hard for me to sit back and try to remember. I can do it to a certain degree, but I can't give you game-by-game reports of the 1980 Phillies. Sorry, I'm 7. But I do remember the World Series. Some of it, because I wasn't allowed to stay up that late. It was a school night mostly. And I also remember the 81 championship game and the 81 Super Bowl 15. I remember I watched all of that at a neighbor's house right around the corner. And I don't think, as I said, as a young kid being indoctrinated into Philadelphia sports, those 3 months of October of 80 through January of 81, that was my Jim Jones drink the Kool-Aid moment, right? That was how they got me. They got me in there, right? I thought that's how it was supposed to be. Every year we're supposed to challenge for championships and titles. And that's all I needed. And I was off and running. Of course, fell flat on my face, as we moved through the 80s, started realizing that's not how it's supposed to be. This is how it is. And it wasn't good, right? But hey, they already got me. But on this night, not a good night. Everyone in the city, I do remember the lead up to Super Bowl 15 because it was the Eagles' first appearance in the Super Bowl. I remember the city was completely over the heels with this team. There was really, based on beating the Cowboys, and a lot of people go back and say, well, that was the Eagles Super Bowl, and you're right. They came out flat. They came out seemingly unprepared. They came out some ways scared in the Super Bowl against the Raiders. They came out like a team that had never played in a Super Bowl before, straight up. And it showed to a 27-10 loss to the Raiders. And a lot of people have said, you know what, that the Cowboy game was their Super Bowl. And yes, I would have to probably agree with those people looking back on it now. But that opportunity in Super Bowl 15, of course, would not return until Super Bowl 39 with yet another loss. And then the ghosts, the demons, whatever, were exercised completely in Super Bowl 52. But yeah, on this night back in 1981, the Eagles fell in Super Bowl 15 to the Raiders 27-10. And that is your day in Philadelphia sports history. Hope you liked it. Jeff Stoutland gets a pass after one bad year with the O-line having injuries and just in general not good. So bump these diva OCs that want to work, don't want to work with Stoutland. No, they are. You're getting your wish there, Papernick. They are. And it was a major topic this morning between me and Al. Major topic about why we can't find an OC or why we haven't signed one. And all the points Al made were valid. And I think my points were pretty valid too. I think somewhere in the middle of all of our stuff lies the truth. I do believe the Eagles had a target. I do believe the Eagles had a candidate, and that candidate said no for whatever reason. Jeff Stoutland, Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman, Jeff Lurie, well, I don't know, whatever. Whatever the reason was, I firmly believe there was somebody they wanted out of the first group of OCs that came through the door. You're not going to sit here and tell me otherwise because it's the Eagles, right? They get what they want, and they're going to go after it. They're not going to wait. And this whole thing about, well, they're sitting back taking their time. Well, yeah, they are because they've really got no choice at this point. They really don't. I mean, no one's here yet, so obviously they're going to take their time. So I do believe they targeted somebody, and I do believe that person didn't work out. I don't know who. I don't know why, but I do believe it. But I also do believe that they've taken their due diligence. Maybe after they got shunned by that first candidate, they're like, well, let's step back and take a look at this a little bit deeper. But you're not going to sit here and tell me that they have not made an offer to anybody. You're not going to be able to sell that to me because that's Homer speak. That's 100% Homer speak. And that's not me going over the top negative. That's Homer speak. To think that the Philadelphia Eagles have not attempted to bring in an offensive coordinator by this point in time. So the hunt continues. Will it happen this week? Matt Nagy is the next name. Declan O'Doyle or Doyle, whatever his name is. Doyle rules. That's what we're going to do. Jim Bob Cooter. God, I hope that's not the guy. I don't have the strength for that. I don't. I'm too old for that. I'm too old for that type of stuff right now. So some of these names are still, and the names are getting smaller. The pool is drying up too. Don't forget the Steelers need an offensive coordinator. There's other head coaches that have not been named. They need, the pool's drying up. So the Eagles going to have to make a decision here. Or more importantly, someone's going to have to make a decision to come here. Which, again, you're not going to sit here and tell me that they haven't targeted somebody and that person hasn't said no. I'm happy Big Al will open the phone lines like you. Again, it's up to them. I was so tired hearing during the Patriot-Bronco game that the Patriots are back, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, me too, Mike, but that's the reality is that they are. And God forbid if they win the Super Bowl. God forbid. Listen, Drake May is not Tom Brady, but Drake May is a very, very good quarterback. Drake May will probably be the MVP this year. Not the Super Bowl, maybe both, but he's going to be the MVP probably. So, but I hear you, man. I get you. I feel you. I feel you. So we got the Patriots versus the to be determined as they're fighting their way through this thing. 31-27 Seahawks. Are we in the fourth quarter yet? Yeah, 8 minutes or so left in the game. Good game going on out there. And here's a random question. Would the Eagles be able to compete with either one of these two teams tonight? Would they be able to compete between the two teams that are playing right now and their offenses? Interesting question, I think. All right. Phone lines are open. So if you want to jump in, feel free. You know the drill. I don't have to see you, but I have to be able to hear you, and you have to be able to hear me. So, all right, let's while we wait for some phone calls, let's get into the damn hot stove, because I've let that thing go and we're like 3 pages behind. So I want to get into some hot stove tonight. Let's get it out of the way with. Here you go, the It's a Wrap Sports Hot Stove Report. It's the hot stove time. It's getting there. I mean, the embers are still burning. Thankfully, though, as time ticks by, we're getting closer and closer to spring training, and we can stop doing this. But the hot stove is still burning. And let's recap some of the moves that have become official since the last time we spoke. Josifer Zoluta, the right-hand pitcher of the Cincinnati Reds, is now headed out to Seattle as he'll join the Mariners. He was traded for minor league right-hand pitcher Dusty Rivas. Josh Winkowski, the right-hand pitcher formerly of the Boston Red Sox, on his way to Toronto on a minor league deal. Nick Robertson from Kansas City to the Dodgers on a minor league deal. Our old friend Michael Lorenzen in the news, changing addresses again. This time he's going from Kansas City back to the National League. He'll be joining the Colorado Rockies in that stellar organization on a 1-year deal. Pierce Johnson going from Atlanta to Cincinnati on a 1-year deal. Taylor Clark, the starting pitcher, now is taking his turn with the Arizona Diamondbacks, as well as he'll be leaving Kansas City, heading to Arizona on a 1-year deal. Paul Blackburn staying in New York on a 1-year contract. Gavin Lux was part of a pretty big trade back on January 16th. Formerly of the Reds, now a Ray, as he was traded for outfield Josh Lowe in a 3-team deal. And we'll get to the other players involved here in a second. So Gavin Lux on his way. And a trade. There's Josh Lowe, of course, was also part of that trade. He's also headed to the Angels. Corey Julkis, the outfielder formerly of the White Sox, now headed to the Tigers on a minor league deal. Eric Haas from Milwaukee to San Fran on a minor league deal. Tung Chi Chang, the pitcher for the Rays, was claimed off of waivers by the Mets. Brock Burke, right-hand pitcher for the Angels, was also involved in that 3-team trade, is now in Cincinnati as a big trade was made back on January 16th. Alsavio Bido, the shortstop, going from Tampa to Miami, claimed off waivers. Luke Williams staying in Atlanta on a minor league deal. Josh Sabrors staying in Texas on a minor league deal with a invitation to spring training. And here we go with some of the big ones. Luis Robert Jr. Headed to the Mets back on, it was made final on Jan 20th. Traded for Lisangel Acuna and minor league pitcher Truman Pauly. As we can finally, Luis Robert Jr. is a name we talk about in this town every friggin' summer as a potential trade candidate for the Phillies. At least now he's closer if we're going to trade for him this time. I don't think that's happening, though. But Luis Robert is now someone we're going to have to deal with and see firsthand, of course, if we missed out on something. I don't think we did. JT Realmuto, a 3-year contract signed by the Phillies on the sort of the fallout of the Bo Bichette thing. Of course, he's staying in Philadelphia. Jorge Mateo going from Baltimore to Atlanta on a 1-year deal. Mickey Gasper going from the Twins to the Nats on waivers. Bradley Balak going to Miami. He was traded for a minor league pitcher. And there's Bo Bichette, a 3-year contract with the Mets. Became official on January 20th with an opt-out clause pretty much every single year of that contract, if you boil it down. Kyle Tucker, another big signing that occurred the night before the Bo Bichette news, headed to Los Angeles on a 4-year deal with the Dodgers. And our old friend Ranger Suarez going from the Phillies to the Boston Red Sox on a hefty 5-year deal. They might regret that. I think Red Sox are going to regret that. Connor Siebold is going to Toronto on a minor league deal. Tristan Gray going to Minnesota from Boston, was traded for a minor leaguer. Luis Garcia, the right-hand pitcher, is going to the Mets on a 1-year deal. That was a move that kind of fell under the radar a bit. Weston Wilson was claimed off of waivers by the Baltimore Orioles. Phillies released or DFA'd Wilson after they re-signed Real Muto to make room for Real Muto on the 40-man. Wilson did not pass through waivers as he was picked up by the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Orioles will now join Birdland along with Pete Alonso, probably go right to the minor leagues. But here's the thing with Weston Wilson. What do you do with a player who batted 198, hit 5 homers and 17 RBIs? He has no options. So do how do you do that? How does that work? You have no options. So do they got to start him off in AAA, right? I mean, I guess he's going to make the team out of camp. Maybe he doesn't make the team out of camp and they DFA him again. That's probably what will happen. Gus Varland going from Arizona to Washington off waivers. Ambilek Ortiz from the Rangers to the Washington Nationals for minor league pitch shortstop. Gavin Feen, Devin Fitzgerald. Anthony Mezawick going from Cincinnati on a minor league deal. Another big trade that involved a NL East team, the Mackenzie Gore going from Washington to Texas for Ortiz and minor league pitcher Gavin Feen. Davis Daniel, the right-hand pitcher formerly of the Braves, now a Red on a minor league deal. Will Castro, Cubs to the Rockies on a 2-year deal. Fidel Bujon from the Minnesota to the Mets was traded for Kazash. And Michael Sine headed to the Yankees off waivers from the Dodgers. Taylor Rogers going from the Cubs to the Twins on a 1-year deal. Our old friend Tim Mesa, acquired by the Phillies last summer, is returning on a 1-year minor league deal. Cooper Criswell headed from the Mets to the Mariners for cash. And Victor Carantini going to Minnesota on a 2-year deal. Catcher. One of the other catcher involved in any sort of, worth anything for the in the free agent market of catchers. So there you have it. There's your hot stove. That might be it, man. We may have actually finished. We may have to do one more hot stove report. One more before it's all said and done with. But there we are. We are all caught up on the hot stove report. The link is out there. I sent out the phone lines are open, Steve. You can hop on, of course, if you want. Did everybody see did it go out? Are you guys seeing the link? I sent it out. I will send it again. Let's see if it went. Maybe it didn't go. Here it comes again. If you missed it, I'm sending it out again. Phone lines are open. They're opened on 2 of the platforms. For some odd reason, Twitter is not working, but phone lines are open. So make sure you hop on if you want. All right. Again, while we wait, let's talk some football. Let's get back into the Eagles. Let's get back into our offseason plan. We have talked last week on this program about our extensive offseason plan here on the show. It really is encompassing in about 3 phases, right? We're going to do draft class grades, which we did last week for the class of 2023. This week, we're going to start breaking down the top storylines by position group in 2025. And we're going to just have some fun with that. Talk about some of the storylines that were dominating the headlines for per position group in 2025 for the Eagles. Phase 3 will be an ongoing phase throughout the offseason as we get close to the draft. It's a Wrap Sports mock drafts. We did our 1.0 last week. 2.0 will get released tomorrow. Our mock draft 2.0. We may or may not go over it on the show. We'll see. And then phase 4 will be talking about players they bring in, and then maybe doing another little deeper dive on the Eagles draft selections when they make them. So we are firmly into our offseason plan here on the program. So just wanted to make everybody aware of that. But let's get into it tonight. Let's debut the segment of the top storylines by position group in 2025 for the Philadelphia Eagles. And tonight we get going with the offensive line. And here it is. Here are your top storylines as graded upon by me. This is what I thought the top storylines were. Not in any sort of order, by the way, just my top storylines of of 2025 of the offensive line. So we'll go left to right here. Obviously, the first storyline that I really thought it was interesting was the overall health and welfare of Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens. Just was a problem all season. Jurgens and Dickerson both are warriors, cut from the cloth of offensive linemen. I'm not going to sit here and I am not going to defame them in any way, shape, or form about how much they battled through injury. Landon Dickerson is a situation where hindsight might have been a little bit better with him after suffering that injury, that ankle injury or knee, whatever that was back in training camp. Maybe in hindsight, thinking about it, we probably should have sat him for the first month, right? Those first 4 games that everybody talks about being the extended preseason games. Maybe Landon Dickerson should have sat for those 4 games to give him a better chance of success throughout the season. Cam Jurgens in his second full season as Jason Kelce's replacement. I mean, is he serviceable? Yes. Is he Jason Kelce? No. And are people still, I wonder, are people still like defaulting back to Jason Kelce when thinking about Cam Jurgens and his ability? He's not the best, but again, you got to give him time. It's serviceable, 100%. Is he as athletic as Jason Kelce? So far, no. Was he in an offense this year that benefited his skill position or his skill group or his skill set? Goddamn, probably not. Didn't see Cam Jurgens much this season leading the way on any sort of exotic run blocking schemes. It was a straight bull rush that seemed with him all the time. But again, I'm not going to sit here and defame him. And he battled injuries throughout the season too, as they typically do. So, but overall, those 2 names were very, 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 very polarizing names as we talked about them. It seemed like week to week when it came to their health. And heading into next season, you got to hope, especially with them two, they can keep the injury situation to a minimum and that they can find a way to just be very serviceable throughout the season. And but they definitely were a huge storyline about their overall health. My next storyline about the offensive line, it's about Jordan Mailata. And all signs pointed towards a regression from Mailata, especially in pass blocking. He was a turnstile a lot of the times this year. And if he wasn't getting straight up beat, he was committing penalties left and right because he was getting straight up beat. Jordan Mailata is probably the more concerning performance of the offensive line this year, as we've kind of we talk about the offensive line as being one of the problems for the Eagles. And I think Jordan Mailata, if you're going to look at this thing kind of deeper, he's probably one of the more concerning players from 2025 and one of the players that definitely need to bounce back in 2026. Did he plateau in 2024? Is it now downhill the rest of the way with him? Have offenses or have defenses figured out how to beat Jordan Mailata? And as I said, if he wasn't getting beat, he was committing penalties because he was getting beat. So Jordan Mailata and his regression was terrible, absolutely terrible this year. Of course, Lane Johnson, my next storyline, just through his age. I'm not going to sit here and talk negative about Lane Johnson at all. Lane Johnson's a future Hall of Famer. Lane Johnson's one of the best at his position all time, especially in this city and in the NFL. So I'm just going to put it out there to Lane Johnson that, is it just a matter of time ticking away on him and what that might mean for the Philadelphia Eagles moving forward. And of course, he did miss the final, 2 months of the year because of injuries. But, without him in the lineup, this was a whole different offensive line down the stretch. 100% was a whole different offensive line going down the stretch without Lane Johnson's presence. And now that sort of his future is up in the air, now he's under contract through 2027. He has stated numerous times that he wants to finish that contract. But does what happened to him with that injury situation last year, does that affect him in his decision maybe to hang it up early? And then what obviously the ramifications of that are for the Eagles. And we'll get down to that here in a minute. Then the lack of depth along that offensive line, and it pretty much came from the lack of contribution or performances from your drafted players, Tyler Steen being one of them. The other drafted players that on the offensive line that just have not kind of panned out yet. That is a concern because with the injuries to Landon Dickerson, with the injuries, to Cam Jurgens and Lane Johnson, you were looking for players like Fred Johnson. You were looking at Brett Toffs of the world to come in and try to stabilize that offensive line. You drafted offensive linemen to stabilize your own offensive line. And they didn't get that from any of the draft picks last year, really, if you think about it. Any of the offensive line draft picks from last season did not really work out in that aspect. So where does that go? And going forward into this year where offensive line should be a draftable position again, maybe even higher than it has been over the last few years, it's very important that how he hits on an offensive lineman and that he, more importantly, hits on some late round offensive linemen. And I thought you really saw the struggles of depth on that offensive line specifically because of the poor performances of the drafted players of recent years. Bottom line, once the league's gold standard, now kind of living year to year, if you kind of look at this thing holistically. And for the factors we discussed, few contributors, no clear successor for Lane, and emergency starters were sort of the thing. So the offensive line, if you look at it, maybe is, and then you also kind of factor in Stoutland and all this. Maybe there's something to this. I don't know. Maybe there's something to Stoutland not being given his opportunity or being desirable to stay. The offensive line was a problem. Now, I'm going a little deeper, of course, than the usual that I hear about the offensive line struggles. And yes, coming from the H crowd, let's call them the H crowd. I'm tired of saying Homer. But the H crowd wants you to think they were tired because they had a long run in 2024. Fatigue was the problem there. Fatigue were all these issues that I've stated, and these are just my issues. I'm not saying these are the bottom line. These are my bottom line. But the H crowd will tell you that it was fatigue and fatigue only. Don't believe the hype. There ain't nothing wrong with the offensive line. They were just tired because of a lack of an offseason or a shorter offseason coming off of a Super Bowl. I, of course, am going to look a little deeper than that. And right now, it's not looking good. It's not looking promising, and it's looking somewhat suspect heading into 2026. So what are the Eagles going to do to address just these issues, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 issues? Interesting questions. And there you have it. Our first position group top storyline of the year of 2025 breakdown of the offensive line. Did you guys enjoy that? I enjoyed that. I enjoyed bringing that to you. All right. Let's keep the show moving and grooving. I might get off the air a little early tonight. That's a good thing. But before I transition to our Of the Night segment, I do want to remind everybody that in lieu of, I didn't do this prior to transitioning to the Eagles, but here you have the invited, these are the 27 players the Phillies have invited to attend spring training as non-roster invitees. Genesis Cabrera, Tucker Davidson, Tim Miza, Andrew Walling are your left-handed pitchers. Andrew Bechtold, Jonathan Hernandez, Michael Mercado, Trevor Richards, and Bryce Wilson are your right-hand pitchers. Phillies are inviting 5 catchers, 5 as non-roster invitees to spring training. Caden Hedinger, who's a prospect in the system. Mark Kolvasarvari, who the Phillies picked up this year as a free agent. Paul McIntosh, Renee Pinto, and Caleb Ricketts. These are 2 names, of course. Hedinger, Ricketts being somewhat high up in a very shallow pool of catching prospects in the organization. They're actually the only 2. So they're going to get an opportunity to get a look at spring training. Keaton Anthony was a high riser last year. We don't talk much about Keaton, but he went from single A all the way up to double A. I mean, he went from low level single A all the way to double A in 2025. Look for some good things out of him. The University of Indiana product. Christian Cairo, Carson DiMartini, another former Philly draft pick, also a high riser in 2025. The young, talented third baseman, Arun Escobar, our boy Aiden Miller, Luver Peguero, Brian Racone, and not to be confused with Gabe Raconis Jr., and Jose Rodriguez are your infielders. Your outfielders, Dylan Campbell, another high riser, Justin Crawford, Brian De La Cruz, who the Phillies signed as a free agent, and Dante Nore, our former first-round pick. And then one outfield utility guy, Felix Reyes. And there you have your 27 non-rostered invitees to Phillies spring training coming up this spring in Clearwater. So looking forward to seeing a lot of those players play significant time with the big club, especially when they break for the World Baseball Classic, which will happen in the beginning part of March. So there you have it. All right, let's get to the Of the Night segment. All right, the Other Night segment tonight is a twofer. We're going to spotlight a Phillies player, and we're also going to talk an NHL draft prospect as we gear up for the NHL draft this summer. Let's get it kicked off with the Phillies prospect, and this could be, this is one of them. This is one of the core, one of the foundational pieces, one of the faces of this franchise. And let's face it, if he struggles, this team is going to struggle. And if he's not playing elite, then this team will struggle. Of course, I'm mentioning the potential future Hall of Famer. That's a whole other topic. Bryce Harper. And here's his 2025 season stats. 261, 27 homers, 75 runs batted in, 131 hits, 72 runs, and 12 stolen bases. His slash line, he had a 357 OBP, a 487 slugging percentage, and an OPS of 844. Listen, 132 games played for Bryce in 2025. It's not the numbers that are the problem with Bryce Harper, I think, and at least for me. I don't have any issues with these numbers. The RBIs are low. I would like at least there's no reason why Bryce Harper's not knocking in 100 runs a season. But 27 to 35 home runs is about where Bryce Harper should be, right? Or 25 to 35, somewhere in that range of home runs. And I can accept that. I honestly can. The problem, and that OPS is not a slouch OPS. 844 is pretty damn good OPS. The problem with Bryce Harper has been with me in the past and in the future, I'm sure it will be, and in the present it has been the clutch factor. You know, we talk about this on this network all the time, the it factor, right? And you guys claim Jalen Hurts has that it factor about him where he goes out and wills teams to victory and he's just a winner. Well, Bryce Harper is allegedly the same type of player. And he just doesn't come up clutch. And he hasn't come up clutch in a very long time. I go back to that 2022 season as being the last time I can honestly look at Bryce Harper as a clutch player. And honestly, I'm being kind there too, because it might not have lasted that long since he's been here about the clutch factor. So these numbers are not bad. They're not. They're not bad numbers. They're not elite numbers, as his T-shirt indicates, but they're acceptable numbers for a player like Bryce Harper. They are. It's just that clutch factor. He has just not been clutch for a very long time, and we need him to be clutch. You know, he disappears routinely in the postseason, comes up in big spots all the time, and it seems like he comes up shorter than taller most of those times. And it's always those times you remember. You don't remember the bottom of the ninth 3-run home run when the Phillies are up 9-2. You don't remember those. But you remember the bottom of the eighth in the NLDS, runners on second and third, 2 outs, 2-2 count, and he's swinging at a ball in the ground. You remember those. And that seems to be what Bryce Harper has somewhat become synonymous for here. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see it. But he is the wheel that turns the grind. You know, I mean, he is the guy. And he's our number 3 hitter in the lineup. Because apparently he can't play anywhere else or hit anywhere else, which is okay. Good spot for him to be. First baseman, and that's all he does. Some people want him to go back to the outfield. I don't know, man. I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? But there you are. You need Bryce Harper. And if he can return to somewhat of clutch form this year, these numbers look a lot better. They look a hell of a lot better. And unfortunately, you got the numbers, but you don't have the clutch. I'd rather have the clutch than the numbers. But another year of Bryce Harper, another year of swinging at the worm burners and killing worms and all that. So we'll see how he does. But there you have your Philly Spotlight Player of the Night. Number 3, he's not elite, Bryce Harper. All right, let's talk about our draft prospect. We're going to the OHL tonight, the Ontario Hockey League, to talk about Mr. Jackson Cover, the left winger for the London Ontario Knights of the OHL. Scouts, the 6'1", 185-pound left winger. Scouts praise his creative playmaking, deception, and ability to find open ice. But note, he needs strength and consistency with defensive details, like back checking, projecting as a potential first-round talent with high upside similar to a late bloomer. Now, that's got red flags written all over it for me, honestly. I don't see a reason. The Flyers are not in a position in the first round to be taking a player that has late bloomer characteristics or attributes. Jackson grew up, I want to say, he grew up somewhere in the Jamaica or the Bahamas somewhere. He grew up not in a hockey place. And matter of fact, he knew how to rollerblade before he knew how to ice skate. He started rollerblading first, which is not an uncommon thing. That I'm not saying that's uncommon, but I know plenty of players who made professional hockey their career that started late with ice skating. They all started a few, more than a few. Chase DeLeo, who was a friend of mine when he played with the Utica Comets. He's currently now in the KHL, but he was a high draft pick, bounced around to a different couple organizations before heading over to Russia this year or last year. I think it was last year he went to Russia. But he grew up in California, and he grew up rollerblading first before he could ice skate. So Jackson Cover was one of those players. That's not why I have concerns with him. It's when you get labeled a late bloomer, but you're also labeled a first-round talent, which is interesting. It's an interesting double-edged sword here. But the Flyers are not in any kind of position at this point to take another project. They need a hit. The Flyers need a bona fide hit in the first round. I don't know where they're going to end up picking in the first round. I don't think it's going to be in the top 3 or 4. So more than likely, whoever they do select in the first round will be a project of some sort, playing in a lower level, not NHL ready on day one. But to me, when you have it mentioned in his draft profile that he's a late bloomer through a lot of scouts, just a little concerning, but a first-round talent projected, Jackson Cover of the London Knights of the Ontario Hockey League. And there you have your prospect NHL or your NHL draft prospect of the night. And that completes our twofer on the of the night segment. And I do have a phone call. Let's head over now to the phones and let's talk to our friend Michael Papernick. Mike, what's up?
What up, Matty?
Just hanging out.
Seattle is going to win. That's all I know. And the Patriots are frauds. They couldn't put points up against that defense while the weather was good. And all I know is this: Buffalo let Stephon Diggs go because supposedly he was a diva and Josh couldn't get along or whatever, but they were best friends. Man, the kid's going to the Super Bowl.
Yes, he is. Seattle.
He didn't give no problems in Houston, even though he was there he got hurt, but he didn't give no problems this year, except off the field at the end.
Well, yeah, that was a big problem. Well,
that's what I mean. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there was no on the field problems, But so let's talk about these Bryce Harper, because I was listening to you.
Bryce Harper.
Let's go back to 2019. The only year Bryce Harper's had 100 RBIs with the Phillies.
Yeah, that's very impressive. $28 million. Yeah. one season with 100 RBIs. One in 8 years.
Just with the Phillies.
Yeah.
Now, I get it. Injuries. The guy. I know the guy's a workout. He's unlucky with the injuries, but and it ain't where he bats in the lineup. The problem is he's got Schwarber batting in front of him. I've been saying this. He puts too much pressure on himself because when Schwarber hits a home run or does something big, he has to do it. And I say this and I believe it. He can't catch up to the fastball like he used to. That swing is too violent that it just takes too much out of him over the years with his back and injuries. I don't know. Like I said, I think this is a bad year for him. I think he's going to want money. I think he's going to ask out of here. If it ain't this year, it'll be within 2 years. We'll say he's out. It's going to be the bet. It'll be best for him, best for the Phillies because you still got Turner, Schwarber. You still got a core here, and you can get probably something back for him.
No, you mentioned the Bryce Harper swinging, the violent swing and the fastball. You're right, but the violent swing is probably going to be the death of him when it comes to his career. He's going to end up doing something to his back long term because of that violent swing. You're right. It's been a problem with his entire career. Now, the fastball thing. Listen, I don't know if he's not catching up to them anymore. The problem with Harper to me is that he thinks everything's a fastball, and when the bottom drops out, which they usually do, he's swinging at nothing. And it's the whole approach that he has at the plate to me is wrong. As you mentioned, he's trying to either one-up Schwarber or he's trying to end the game on one swing, regardless of the situation. There is no situational base hitting in Bryce Harper's tool bag. It's home run or nothing.
Here's a question: who nicknamed him the Showman? I didn't hear the fans do it. I didn't hear the media do it. I think he did it himself.
Really? I don't blame him.
Now you want to know what? Now I get it. It's good, marketing and stuff. But what's that tell you? If he came up with that himself, that tells me he's got. Every great player has in him a little me in them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Me. There it is. But I mean, I don't know. I think this. I told you what I would do. I would walk Schwarber. I'd walk Harper. I mean, you got Garcia. Maybe but they're the only two guys that scare me on the whole team that could put it out of the park. I mean, they know the other guys aren't going to do much. This is a third place team at best, and pitching is going to kill them. The starting pitching is going to kill them. Aaron Nola pitching. I know you disagree with this because you think it's because of the profile of the World Baseball Classic and all that. This has Joel Embiid written all over it.
I see. I do.
Right now it does. I mean, it might not. It might not. But right now, that's what it looks like on paper.
Well, so here's the way I look at that. Here's how I look at that. Joel Embiid knew he was going for a gold medal. He knew he was going to get a gold medal with Team USA. Aaron Nola's not going for a gold medal with Team Italy. I don't know why he's pitching for Italy. He's going to pitch. I think he's going to pitch in some higher level competition. Maybe he wants to prove to himself that he is back. I disagree with the takes of that. I don't think the WBC has anything to do with your outlook of a season. Shohei Ohtani struck out Mike Trout in 2023 to end the WBC. Shohei Ohtani went on to win the MVP. To me, that doesn't have any correlation. I know we like to do that. Yeah. I love it. I think it's great. Playoff baseball in March is amazing to me. I know the concerns. God forbid something happens to somebody out there like Edwin Diaz when he tore his ACL by celebrating in 2023 and was lost for the year. I get that part of it. But in Aaron Nola's case, I think this could be very good for him. Maybe he wants to see where he's at. Maybe he had a great offseason and he's like, you know what? I want to get right back out there and pitch for my native Italy, which, again, I don't know why he picked Italy or how he could pick Italy, but whatever. He's pitching for Italy. And maybe there's a reason he's pitching for Italy because he doesn't want to get into some really amped up competition because Italy ain't getting any further than pool play. So maybe that's the reason why he's pitching for Italy. I like it. I think it's good for him.
Okay. All right, I get all that, but what I'm trying to say is like I think he's the most important piece on this Phillies pitching staff because after him it drops.
Yeah, it falls off.
It goes to I mean, so
Walker and Painter.
Look, not much Painter because there's not much on Painter, so we can't speak on that up here. Walker, he shows up. But once he gets past the fourth inning, he's in trouble. That's why I always said I think
5 innings. I need 5 innings from him. That's all I need. 5 innings and give up 3 or less runs. That's all I need, and that's successful. That's a successful outing.
The Phillies have their 8th inning pitcher on this team, and they don't use him. Taijuan Walker, put him out there and get him out. That's it.
Now, when
that's
Wheeler
all you
comes
need.
back, that should be what it is.
Yeah,
Walker out.
Well, here.
Back in the bullpen. Yeah.
Now, to get what I was saying with Nola is the fact that. Say he goes out there and it's just not pitching the way you know what I mean? This is where you just don't. I'd rather have him 100% focusing on the Phillies, not focusing on how he's going to pitch in the World Baseball Classic. Get him straight as we're content. I mean, what are you going to pull? I mean, because if they go I'll tell you right now, you know how this works. Say God forbid something happens to Nola, and they got to go get a pitcher. Now this pitcher's got to get in pitching shape. He's got to go to the minor leagues. He's got to go across the country. He's got to go here. It's 4 months before he pitches. It's August 1st before he pitches. I mean,
yes. Listen, you're right. Maybe. Okay, and this is a good point, Mike. I agree. Maybe this isn't the year with the pitching staff already kind of critically thin with the uncertainty around Wheeler. Maybe this isn't the year you put one of your prime starters out there. Maybe that's a good point because you do want to try to preserve him as much as you possibly can. That's a very good point, and point taken there. I think the Phillies will add a 5th arm. We talked about it this morning a little bit. I wouldn't be against bringing back Walker Buehler for a very, very team-friendly 1-year deal. I would not. I think Walker Buehler can give you 3 to 4 innings, 5 innings a week in the back end of the rotation. I do. Or a Walker Buehler-esque, like I talked about Patrick Corbin or, a pitcher like that. So, and they're out there. They're a dime a dozen floating around out there right now. So I think the Phillies aren't done making moves. And I do believe that content stuff was all about GM speak and him trying to save face about the whole Bo Bichette thing.
You think? What do you think about that? Whatever his name is, that pitch, that lefty from Houston is still out there.
Framber Valdez, yeah.
See, here's the thing. I think the Phillies got to get a number 4. If something happens to Nola, that the guy's actually a 3 in this league, but he's going to be bumped to 4 because of Nola, so he can slide up there. That's what they need. I think if they got Valdez, you got to put him 4 because I ain't going 3 lefties in a row. You got to go Nola 3. But at least you got a guy who has experience, who's pitched in big World Series, won a World Series profile. He's pitched in them big games, Yeah. And you got Patrick Corbin out there. I mean, Max Scherzer's out there.
Verlander's out there if he hasn't retired, but he's still
I thought
free agent.
Is
he's still free? He's listed as a free agent, but I think he retired. But he's still listed.
I thought he signed with somebody.
No, as of 2 days ago, he was still a free agent. He might have, but I haven't seen anything about that.
Yeah.
I hear you. I get a veteran pitcher in the back end of the rotation, no pressure on him, 4 to 5 innings. We use them as we use them, and then we really use them out of the bullpen in the postseason. Absolutely. I agree. We need one of those guys, 100%.
Now, to get to the Eagles, Jeff Stoutland's got to get a pass. He's had, one bad year in the whole time he's probably been here. You know what I mean? This guy, now, so remember you were talking about Mike McDaniels, how he just, you said, he don't want to be on the, he don't want to play, he don't want to be in the snow. He don't want, he that's a lot of BS because he's from Colorado. Well, you saw he turned down the interview to be a head coach for Buffalo. So what's that tell you?
I don't know. I told you he wants to be with Justin Herbert in L.A. Listen, I get it. I don't know. And I said to Sal this morning, and we were going back and forth about it. I honestly don't care who the offensive coordinators, and you know this. I told you about it. I just somebody who can relate to the quarter, unlock the secrets of Jalen Hurts is who I need. And I don't care who that is, just as long as he can do it. And as far as Stoutland goes, I agree. Does he get a pass? I mean, listen, Now I don't know. Does the new offensive coordinator? Do they want to bring in their own offensive line coach, or they want to bring in their own run coordinator, or they want to bring in the same guy for both, or different guys for both? There's too much vagueness, and I don't even know if that's a legitimate story that someone said they're not coming here because they can't bring in their own offensive line coach. I get what you're saying, but is Jeff Stoutland? Are you prepared to derail the whole season because of Jeff Stoutland? And if it was somebody reputable, and I don't know who the coordinator was that allegedly said this, but I mean, yeah, I get it. He had one bad year, but I just broke down the top storylines of the O-line, and depth issues. They're not Jeff Stoutland's fault, kind of. I mean, he didn't really, evolve any of his draft picks into contributors last year. A lot of them, Tyler Steen's a bust, and then the others were sitting pretty much on the bench, were relegated to the Brett Toffs of the world and the Fred Johnsons of the world. So there's something not happening at Stoutland U last year. Something didn't work with their development. The injuries are nothing to do with Stoutland. The timing on Lane Johnson's got nothing to do with Stoutland. It really boils down to the progress of your drafted players just wasn't there this year, and that's on Stoutland.
Yeah, that falls on him, but if it's whether it's true or false, say it's true. I want them guys to bring in a better offensive. I want to see them bring a better offensive lineman. I want to see who they're bringing in. Yeah. Because man, how about there you go. This makes me hate the Cowboys. I don't hate them more than 49ers. I can't, and I know, but they turned down the Eagles to talk to their offensive coordinator, Clayton Adams. They denied the Eagles, but the Eagles allowed them to talk to Christian Parker.
Eagles were the adults. Who knows? The Eagles were the adults in the room. I don't know about that, but yeah, I mean, hey, it's Jerry Jones, man. I mean, he's trying to get any edge he can, I guess. I don't know. It's
the offensive coordinator. I got the feeling it's going to be Matt Nagy. I think that's what it's going to be. I think here's the thing. I think Andy Reid has a lot to do with that, because the Eagles are going to look back and go, well, then they hired Doug. You know what I'm saying? They're taking Andy's thing. But the problem with Matt Nagy is, I don't know. He don't really call the plays out in Kansas City. He didn't really have much
Andy calls
to work with in Chicago. Yeah, and he had not much to work with in Chicago, so we don't know what we're getting.
Yeah, Andy Reid called the plays in Kansas City. I agree. And another thing, if it's predicated off the Andy Reid coaching tree, what's one of the bread and butter offensive plays they run? That's the screen. We can't execute a goddamn screen pass in this town to save our ass since Andy Reid left. So you're right. There's some concerns there too. But Matt Nagy's a name, and he fits the profile of a former NFL head coach. What they said they wanted. Matt Nagy's already said goodbye to Kansas City. Kansas City's already said goodbye to him. He's going somewhere, and I think it is here. But and I don't think the Eagles are not going out on a limb on a Declan Doyle. They're not. They're not going out on a limb on some new hot shot. They're bringing in someone that's been around.
Well, there's still 3 openings. The Browns, if I'm right, 3. Browns, Cardinals, and the Raiders. So that
head coach?
I heard head coach opportunities, right? Yeah. They're the 3 still opening. I think now I heard that wasn't true about Brian Dable saying he wouldn't cut that he going to go from there to Tennessee. I heard that wasn't true. I don't know.
Who did Buffalo hire?
I don't think they hired anybody. Did they hire somebody? I don't know. I don't think they were talking to.
That was Dable.
But they interviewed somebody else too.
They interviewed Phillip Rivers for their head coaching position. Actually,
your offensive coordinator.
I wanted him as the OC. Yes, and everyone looked at me like I was crazy. He's interviewing for the Bills head coaching job, and I'm crazy for saying Phillip Rivers needs to be our offensive coordinator. The Bills job is still open. They haven't named anybody yet. So
here's the problem with the Bills. It's the GM. It's like what they did in Miami. Let's fire the head coach. Well, who's making all the decisions? The GM. I mean, that GM in Miami's a fraud. This GM out there, I live up, he's a fraud too. Like I said, he got rid of Diggs. look, AJ Brown and Jalen ain't best friends, but they won a Super Bowl. You're telling me Diggs and him couldn't stay together? I mean, I think Josh Allen. I said this. Now maybe I think Josh Allen's got a little Allen Iverson in him. I don't know if he can play with stars. He likes to be the end all be all. He wants to be Superman. You know what I mean? When I mean stars.
No, I know
like
what you mean. I know what you mean.
Like when Allen went to the championship, who would he have around him? Legitimately, that could score outside of him. Not a whole lot.
No.
You know, he had Tyrone Hill, Aaron McKee, George Lynch, Dikembe. I mean,
a lot of role players. Yeah.
That's my point. Where I look at Josh and I think the same way. Like, why are these players? Diggs never gave problems anywhere else. All of a sudden, him and Josh can't get along or whatever's going on, and they don't go out and get a DK Metcalf or Devontae Adams. I mean, AJ Brown's going to be available. I mean, is it because of Josh? Is it because of ownership? Is it because maybe they know there's a clash there of some sort? I don't know. I mean, it's a bad situation up here. I'm telling you, man. I put a lot on Josh on that, man. A lot.
Yeah, I do too. And you can't turn the football over 4 times or 5 times in the AFC Championship game or in the playoffs and expect to win. You can't do that. Listen, my verdict on Josh Allen is he's not elite. All right. He's not an elite quarterback. He's a very good quarterback, but let's see what they can do or what he can do if they ever actually commit to put a team around him. And as you said, if Josh Allen can actually commit to being more of a team guy than a me guy. And if that's part of making
that's just me.
You know what I mean? No, I think there's something to that. But he hasn't had the greatest of complement players. And I do believe 100% to my core, you put Josh Allen on the Philadelphia Eagles in 2025, we're still in the playoffs, at least. No doubt about it. They're still in the playoffs.
Yeah, but see, when I'm with you on that. I believe that, but you got to flip that to the other side. Do you remember when Jeremiah Trotter was with the Eagles and he went to Washington? He played good there. You know, it wasn't great like when he was with the Eagles. It was the system. When he came back, it was the system of Jim Johnson's defense he ran. They flourished. You could bring him. It's like Tom Brady. When Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay, that system didn't work for almost 6-7 weeks. And then Bruce Arians, the light bulb went off. We're flipping it around, Tom. We're gonna run your offense now. Yeah. We're gonna run what they did in New England, and that's the thing. The offense has to fit this guy. If they bring him in and they're like, he can't run this offense, what are the results we're going to get with Josh Allen if he don't fit the offense?
Well, but we don't know that. I mean, we don't know if he fits the offense or if Kevin Patullo could have, as you said, maybe created and said, listen, this is the offense we're going to run. We don't know that kind of interference that he would got. And you're right. There's a lot of hearsay, but I do believe, and I'm not a Kevin Patullo guy. I mean, but I do believe that guy tried his best. I do believe he did not purposely try to submarine the Eagles offense, that he was trying to put his players, his quarterback, his wide receivers, his offensive line, his running backs. He was trying to put his players in the best possible position to sort of benefit from their skill set. And it just didn't work. I mean, it didn't work for whatever reason. I'm not going to sit here. Does anybody really believe that Kevin Patullo went out there purposely and was just terrible of what he was doing? And that over the course of 17 games, even if he was bad in the beginning, in the course of 17 games, he didn't figure something out along the way? No, I think there's more to that. Well, him trying to be the smartest guy in the room and say, you know what, Jalen, I don't think you can do this. So we're going to take that away from you completely, and we're just going to try to run this. And maybe that wasn't the right thing to do.
Well, okay. Well, who has the final say? If say he's thinking he can't run it, and he says to Nick or Howie or Nick, I think let's give Jalen, let's sit him down for like 2 games. We're like 5 games, above 500, whatever. We'll sit him down for 2 games. Who has the final say in that? Is that
Howie.
Nick?
No, it's Howie.
Okay,
you know that.
Okay. But so if Howie's saying no, I mean, Patullo to me was just trying to run the same offense that they've been running, but Saquon wasn't doing his thing this year, and the offensive line wasn't. And I mean,
it all.
I saw flashes of what they.
Yeah,
I saw flashes of I saw a flash of a 3-step drop and a ball getting out fast, but that was only like 1 or 2 times a game, then disappear.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
I'll let you go,
I
Matty.
agree. All right, Mike. Well, we're here all week, man. Make sure you come back in and stay warm and dry, man.
Oh yeah. We got pummeled up here. I'm sure you got
so
pummeled too.
Yeah, that's over. We're close to 2 feet, and it's still going. So.
Oh no, we didn't get that much. No, I didn't get that much.
Yeah, we got about 2 feet.
Better you than me.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll talk later. Michael Kaepernick. Mike Lau checks in out there on working the roads. It will be, Mike, are you ready? The drum roll. The New England Patriots versus the Seattle Seahawks in Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara, California. The home of the 49ers. It'll be Drake May versus Sam Darnold. And who had that on their bingo card? I think it's going to be a fun Super Bowl. I think it's going to be a high-scoring Super Bowl. I think there's going to be a lot of offense flashed in this game, and it's going to come down to the inevitable turnover. Who coughs it up at the wrong time? And that's what I think the Super Bowl is going to come down to. I think it's going to be something along the lines of 38-34, and I think a lot of points are going to be scored in this game. Both quarterbacks are going to be on display, and Jalen Hurts will win Super Bowl MVP because apparently that's what he does. Now, Seahawks Patriots in Super Bowl 60. Star Wars reported that, and then how you doing? Star Wars, we know. Good night, brother. Good night, my friend. I'm glad you stopped by. All right. Let's you know what? Yeah, Joe Hell's gonna be mad at me, but I'm gonna save the card till tomorrow. I'm sorry, Joe, if you're still listening. Gonna save the card till tomorrow. Got to stretch it out. I only have 25,000 cards to talk about, and I got to make them all count. So I'm gonna stretch this out. But we had a good show. We caught up on the hot stove. We're completely caught up on all the official moves in Major League Baseball. We also profiled or spotlighted Bryce Harper tonight as our Philly spotlight player, and talked about the numbers. 75 RBIs. It's not optimal. It's not what you paid for, but with an OPS of 844 and 27 home runs and a batting average 287, I can live with that, man. I honestly can live with those numbers. I'm not mad at those numbers. I'm just mad at the fact that Bryce Harper seemingly comes up less and less clutch every year we go through this. So, if he's going to bat 287 and only drive in 75 runs, that's fine. Just make those 75 friggin' runs count in clutch situations. And all that negativity and bad feelings go away. And he can put away his not elite t-shirt. We also talked about our NHL draft prospect tonight, a guy by the name of Jackson Cover. He's a little bit of a project player from the London Knights of the Ontario Hockey League. And talked about the Phillies non-rostered invitees. Continued the conversation a bit about your NFC AFC championship game. And, of course, the OC search for the Eagles continues. How much longer? Is the snow going to delay the naming of an offensive coordinator? Meaning, have they already chosen somebody, but they can't get them into the city until maybe Tuesday or Wednesday? Does that push back the Eagles' timeline of letting us know who the new offensive coordinator is? And I do believe, as Mike Kaepernick does, that Matt Nagy will be the new offensive coordinator. Because I don't think the Eagles are going with I don't think they're going with a unknown commodity. New England wins 34-27. Yeah, it's gonna be a high scoring one. I definitely can see that score, 100%. And then we got to talk about it. If that's the case, I'm not ready for New England to return to the promised land of Super Bowl champions. Would that be their 6th as a franchise? Will they tie the Steelers? No, not yet, right? Be their fifth? No, it will be their 6th. So they won one in 2001, right? They beat the Rams. And they beat the so it was the Rams, Falcons. No, not Rams. It was Falcons. It was Rams, Panthers, Eagles, Falcons, who they beat in Brady's last year? That dreadful Rams again. Rams, right? Yeah, this would be their 6th one. If they win, this would be their 6th Super Bowl. They would tie the Steelers. Wow. Interesting. So yeah. All right. Listen, remember, everybody out there, stay safe wherever you are. Mike's out there plowing roads. Stay awake, Mike. This is your schedule for the network for the rest of the week. Tomorrow, we got 3 shows, but actually we got two because 2 of them are going to be in one. And then the rest of the week here on the network as we get through the month of January, already into February. Cannot believe it as we are getting closer to that magical time that is spring training. Here is your Clear the Ice for the week, by the way, if you're just wondering. I will be here Monday, and Mike Lara will be here Wednesday. Mike Lara will be here on Thursday, and weather permitting, Mike Lara will be back on Saturday. So, Mike, it's a Mikey kind of week on the Clear the Ice program as Mike Lara will have you for the majority of your hockey week. But I do have you tomorrow for Flyers Islanders as they return home to battle the Metropolitan Division Islanders. Till we talk then, you guys, again, have a great night. Have a safe night. If you're somewhere in the snow belt, just hunker down, gather up that bread and those eggs and that milk and just go to town. It's almost over. And we'll talk again tomorrow. So you guys have a great night.